Good day, everybody. We are in studio live with Karina Hernandez, and today we are going to be talking about mortgages. Good morning, Karina. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing wonderful.
Glad to have you back in the studio.
Thank you.
I think
Thank
this is
you.
like your second appearance, maybe third.
Third.
Third, wow. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you in the studio, and we're going to be talking about mortgages. Let's start off by, I guess, the easiest question. What is a mortgage?
Ooh, mortgage is debt.
Oof. You're scaring me.
Mortgage is just a fancy word for having a loan on your home or the property you're purchasing.
Okay.
And just an agreeable amount of terms and years to pay it back.
Gotcha. And why would anybody want to purchase a home?
Well,
Give me a reason.
The easiest answer is because they want to.
Okay.
But usually there's some background information.
Do people save money when they buy a home?
Do people save money
As
when they buy a
opposed
home?
to renting one from someone else?
Yes. I mean, you're building equity.
Okay.
You don't build equity when you are renting.
Okay.
So, yes, you do save money in the long run when you buy a home and you are putting the money back into the home because that's the equity that you're earning. So, absolutely, people do that for that reason to save money and rent.
Yeah.
Maybe they find an area where they like, they moved into and they want to raise their kids.
Gotcha.
Or retire there.
Right.
Maybe they just feel like this is what they want to do. They want to create wealth by purchasing properties, and it's not just a home to live in. It could be a home or properties for other people to live in. So
Gotcha. And when you say equity, what does that mean?
equity essentially is the value of what you have, and a lot of times when it comes to owning a home, you can utilize that. I usually tell people that your home is your biggest savings account. It's assets, so you can always get money out of there. However, we have to make sure we're taking care of our credit. That's very important
Sure.
because that involves additional lending, right? It's a collateral that we would use to give you what it's worth, the difference of what it's worth. If your house is paid off, hey, you could remortgage the house, for example, and you can use the money that you get out of it for many things. If you don't want to buy a car, you could get it out of there. Finance student loans or pay off student loans or your child's education. You can consolidate debt into credit cards. Maybe you have a lot of credit cards. You can take some money out of there and go ahead and do that. There is an unlimited amount of things that you can do with the equity of your home. It's just getting prepared and finding out what you can do prior to actually putting the plug and making a decision.
Okay. Talking about being prepared. How do I know when I'm ready to buy a home?
It's a very good question. You don't just wake up and say, I want to buy a house.
I want to buy a house today.
Well, most people
I hope not.
Most people do. Most people wake up and say, I want to buy a house. Call on the phone,
Talk
send me
to
an
them.
email,
Karina,
text.
talk to them.
I want to buy a house.
How do we know when we're ready to buy a house?
How do we know when we're ready to buy a house? You have to do an analysis. You have to have a plan. You have to have a budget.
Yes.
You have to know what is required. And a lot of times people don't know this information or they heard through the grapevine, well, my coworker did it this way and it was so easy for them. Right. So you have to be careful with getting advice for people that are not in the industry and that did it and it seemed like it was very easy. I usually tell people if you're pregnant or if you have a heart condition, maybe you don't want to buy a house.
You're not ready.
Right.
Not at the moment, then.
Exactly.
At least.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And what do I need to get a mortgage loan?
So the most important thing, if buying a home is one thing. If you have assets, if you have cash, and you want to buy it cash outright, the process is different. But if you want to go through the lending process and go to a mortgage lender and say, hey, I want to be able to know how much I can afford.
Yeah.
What we are doing is assessing your capacity for a monthly payment.
Okay.
Right? So it's not so much you saying, I want to buy a $500,000 home. It may be that you can only afford $250,000 home because the payment is what you can afford. So things that we're going to be looking at are credit, are your means of income, and how much money you have in the bank account right now. Okay. What does that look like for you? When it comes to credit yes, we're going to look at your entire credit profile from the inception of the first trade line to today. Okay. Late payments are important, payment history, any collections. I know I've seen a lot of TikTok saying that you don't have to pay collections. Well, if you want to get the best, you want to present the best of yourself. So I would say
Yeah.
do something.
Right.
Do
Yeah,
something with
yeah.
that. I'm not telling you to pay it off,
Right.
but do something with that so your profile is more appealable
Sure.
for different lenders.
Yeah, not paying a collector is a whole nother episode. We need to get into that one
It's
day.
a habit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because there's a lot of myths like that can
Yes.
affect your credit and how your loan gets handled. Right. So with those factors that are all thrown together, they kind of base their decision on how much money and how much of a loan they can
Yes.
give you that you could actually afford.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's you have a set income,
Right.
and then you have already in your credit report responsibilities.
Right.
So sometimes when people say, "How can I afford more? How can you
Yeah.
increase my pre-approval?"
Exactly. That would be a question. How can I afford
Yes.
more, right? I mean, you
Yes.
might have good credit, but can you afford it financially?
Right.
Is the income coming in?
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's something that I can either tell you go and ask for a raise, right?
Yeah, right.
Because when it comes to income history, we have to document that you've had a 2-year income history. If there are any gaps, we have to make sure it makes sense. We have to make sure that there's ongoing income earning history. Things like 6 months in one job, 2 months in this other one. Maybe you're self-employed and now you work for a company. All of those things are very important because we're looking to assess reliability. How reliable are you to pay us back
Yeah.
if there's so much movement in your income earning situation?
Gotcha. Karina, what are closing fees?
Closing
And what are the
fees.
cost fees for that?
Well, in New York, are different than really anywhere else. We tend to
it?
be higher. Yes,
Really? Okay.
We're higher. There's a number of fees are involved in a mortgage transaction. Closing cost fees are really the cost to set up the loan.
Okay.
Government fees, title fees, interest.
Is
attorney
taxes part of
fees.
that?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're part of what we call prepaids. So it's part of like a reimbursement to the seller.
Okay.
So taxes, home insurance, all of those are involved in what is it going to cost me for the bank to give me a mortgage. Sounds crazy, right?
It does. Right,
Yes.
yeah.
You're going to lend me $200,000, but I have to pay you fees on top of that.
That does sound crazy.
That's that's it.
All right. Okay. So how do we prepare for a mortgage application? What's the process look like, and how do we get ready to do it?
Please have a consultation. There's a lot of non-for-profits locally that help housing agencies, that help clients get ready, but understanding what is going to be required of you. When it comes to credit, you took a look at your credit report, you know you don't have any collections, your credit cards are somewhat lower, they're uncontrolled. You took a look at your income, you have your pay stubs, your W-2s. If you are on fixed income, such as Social Security, pension, child support, alimony, Section 8, do you have the proper documentation to present to your lender so they can review your income? And then lastly, your bank accounts. Are you ready if you show up to a bank with $50, you may not be able to get pre-approved because we have to be able to document that you are able to afford closing costs.
Okay. What's the average of a closing cost? Más o menos.
I mean, we were running with like 2 to 5%.
Okay.
But I think lately we're seeing maybe a little more. Rates are kind of maybe controlling themselves a little bit. But I would say, please, when you think of what is the bare minimum I need, that mentality needs to go away.
Right.
Leverage your 401k, meaning use it as assets. Don't cash it out. Don't make those irrational decisions before you meet with a lender. But take a look at your bank account and see, can I afford at the very least my deposit, which can vary between, as little as 1% for first-time home buyers to 3.5% or 5% if you're buying multiple properties, multiple unit properties.
Excuse me, Karina. I want to ask you, what's the reason behind the huge spike in cost of buying a house today versus 10, 20 years ago? What happened? Is it really supply and demand or something else going on?
It's not so much the cost of closing costs are closing costs. I mean, with inflation, things have gone up. Services, maybe an attorney that cost you $300 maybe 15 years ago,
Right.
now it costs $600.
Right.
So, it's supply and demand. You have to make sure you're adjusting with the times. Things are costing more, so they have to up the prices.
Right.
Same thing with an appraisal report. It could have been that it was $300, now is more like $500 or $600. Those are part of closing costs. Now, supply and demand, like you were referencing.
Yeah, the cost of the actual
cost of a
property.
home, yes.
Yeah. It's gone up like
it has.
It's almost unaffordable nowadays. What happened?
You have to decide for you if this is something that you want to enter into. Negative equity is a real thing.
Okay.
Where your buying may be a little bit higher than
You should have.
then it may not retain the value. Ooh. This is real, and this is something that people just think about. Okay, I want to buy a house, I'm in it, but you're going to be in this mortgage for 30 years. Mm-hmm. You're going to be in a relationship with your mortgage lender for 30 years. Yeah. When everyone else goes away, your mortgage lender stays, and then mm-hmm. you might be in a bind where you decide, I kind of bid more than what I can chew. Yeah. This monthly payment is no longer affordable to me.
Gotcha. Yeah. And what are some type of mortgage loan options?
As many as the rain. So that's the main thing that people need to think about is, we started with conventional, like mm-hmm. conforming loans. They're very basic loans. Then the FHA came to the play. There is non-conforming, which is for the bigger loans. There are construction loans. Mm. There are renovation loans. There are loans that are paid bi-weekly, monthly. There are variable rate mortgages. Wow. There is a whole lot of options for individuals. But part of knowing what's best for you mm-hmm. is for you to do your homework and decide, okay, I have enough knowledge. Yeah. I am seeking this specific loan program. What are their guidelines and their criteria for me to qualify for it?
Right, yeah. Now, the things you talked about, how can one get counseling, so to speak, on how to handle going about purchasing a home?
Yes. So I mentioned local home agencies, home counseling agencies. We've got the Housing Council of Pat Stone, mm-hmm. Consumer Credit mm-hmm. Counseling, the Financial Empowerment Center. There are so many. We have Bishop Sheen. There's the Ibero. I know they're known to help customers. ABC, mm-hmm. Action League, Urban League. There's so many agencies locally that you can get resources to help you at least be in the know. Webinars. You can go in person and set up an appointment. There is a lot of information that people think they know, mm-hmm. and then once these additional resources are presented, right. they're in awe. Wow. Or they right. may say, you know what, I've been waiting and I am ready. Why mm-hmm. did I wait? Right. Or they decided, you know what, there is work that I have to do. Yeah. I'm going to take some time to better my credit, figure out my income situation. Maybe I don't have my 2 years of employment and residency history, which is very important for people that are immigrating to this country. Okay. We have to make sure that you've got your residency paperwork, your green card, all of that. So when you get into an application, that is set, and we don't have to worry about it, and it doesn't delay the process.
Okay. And who should we not be listening to get that advice?
Non-professionals.
Not the guy next door. Especially if he's a renter.
Yeah, you can go by the water cooler and you can eavesdrop and see what they're saying. That's wonderful. Right. That is beautiful. Right. The more you hear, the more you interact, the more you talk. Okay. But go to the source. If you have a question that involves legality, you go to an attorney. If you have a question about lending, financing, please go to your mortgage lender. Yeah. If you have a question about a property, that will be your realtor. So there's different roles that are involved in this process, from processors to underwriters to inspections to appraiser. Knowing what the role of each person is very important, because that way you won't get misinformation.
Okay. And who is not ready to buy a house?
Someone that doesn't have a documented 2-year history of employment. Someone that doesn't have proof of ongoing income. Maybe for some reason you are not working right now and you're collecting unemployment, right. and it's not part of your regular job. Maybe that person is not employed, or someone that doesn't have a credit profile, right. where maybe they have good credit and then they have derogatory and they haven't recuperated. Sometimes someone that just filed for bankruptcy, they might not be able, and someone that doesn't have a bank account. Okay. So please understand that you are going to be required to have a bank account, even if you're getting a gift. What does that look like? How are we documenting a lot of these things? It's really having the conversation is, you need this, but why do you need it? Right. I don't get asked a lot of the whys. And I think that's what helps us learn. So she needs this in my situation because X, Y, Z. Gotcha. I get it. My roommate, my coworker, my cousin didn't need it because perhaps it didn't apply to them.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else I didn't ask you that you'd like to talk about?
Yes. I like to reference the CIA of mortgage. Self-reflection, self-analysis, credit, income, and assets. What does your credit look like?
Okay.
When somebody asks you what your credit looks like, you should be able to know what it looks like. Not accuracy was not what we're
Right.
looking for. We're looking for a pretty accurate picture. Your income. Please be upfront about your situation with your income.
Right.
Because we're going to find out. We're going to verify your employment. We're going to get factual information from your job. And
You're not
sometimes
hiding
it's
anything,
true.
huh?
It's not that they're hiding. I think they're just afraid
To say
of.
it, to be honest. Or what?
Right.
Is
And
it?
then the loan goes live, right?
Yeah.
We find a house and we go live, and
you're
then
like,
we find out
hey,
what
what's
this
this?
is.
Yes.
This is not accurate.
Ooh,
And then please, something I see often, your bank account. I see a lot of movement, a lot of activity, a lot of cash, a lot of money transfers. We have to document that your funds are your funds. And if
Okay.
they're coming from different areas, then that requires additional work that can delay the
Right.
process. So if you know this before you start the pre-approval process and
Okay.
before you talk to a lender and say, hey, I'm ready to start, get that done,
Mm-hmm.
get your ducks in a row, and then you're presenting yourself to us more prepared, and your pre-approval could take 10 minutes versus 2 days.
Right. And when you say a lot of movement, like, what do you mean? Am I making too many purchases? Am I buying too much at Dunkin' Donuts every day?
Yeah,
They
that
say,
could be
"Listen,
it.
Really?
Yes, that could be it. The spending habits.
That can
the
impact
movement.
your
Yes.
your mortgage.
Yep, your bank account is
application.
in your name, but however, 3 cousins are using it, husband's
Ooh,
using it,
I see.
teenage kid is using it, mom is using it, you're cashing
That's a
deposits
lot of
for them.
movement. Yes.
That's a lot. And sometimes we'll see it and we'll examine it and we'll
Yeah.
kind of go back to the client and say, hey, can you explain a little bit to me what's going
Mm-hmm.
on? Because our job is to help you,
Okay.
is to help you paint a clear picture.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do go into processing and underwriting, the other party that's approving the loan makes it easier for you, and it comes back a cleaner file.
Okay. But if that is the situation, would you maybe tell someone, hey, give it 6 months. Here's what I suggest that you do to clean this up, and then come back and reapply for the mortgage?
Yes, I always say this is a tennis match.
Okay.
We're bouncing back and forth. You're driving the bus. If you stop the bus, nobody's going anywhere.
Okay.
If you don't make the movements, we're not gonna go anywhere. I know sometimes people are very insistent. Yeah, but just give me the letter, or just or they're explaining to me verbally. But if it's not documented,
Yeah.
if it's not in writing, and we can't follow a trace, it serves you no purpose.
If someone already is into a mortgage, they have their home, and they lose their job, are there things that they could work out with the mortgage company that allows them to stay in their home until they're back on their feet, so to speak, and able to pay for their mortgage?
In short, yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is important for someone that finds themselves in the situation to please go to their mortgage lender and say, this is my situation. I'm experiencing financial hardship. Are there any programs that you offer that could help me?
Yeah.
Now, we have to know that not all mortgage lenders will do this, but
Okay.
in my experience, yes, there is help. The worst thing you can do is when you are seriously delinquent
Right.
to try to get some assistance. And also leverage your housing agencies. They're there to help you to prevent foreclosure. If you're maybe an older individual and you want to enter into the topic of reverse mortgages, which, it could be daunting, Pat Stone does a beautiful job educating individuals in what that looks like.
Okay. And what should they not do?
Stop paying your mortgage.
Stop paying your mortgage.
Please don't eat that steak.
But in the event that you lose your job, and you just simply can't afford it.
You need family. I think people rather donate blood than share their financial struggles. Yeah, if you live home alone, I understand that maybe you feel like your children, your cousins, your brothers, maybe they're not going to help you, but you need to advocate for yourself. And this is something that I don't see often in this industry, where people are lack of knowledge makes you depend on other people solely. You don't want to do that. You want to leverage help. So if you find yourself where I lost my job and I'm really trying to find another job, there comes a point where you have to decide, are you still seeking the dream job that's taking you 6 months to find?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to secure some income as a Band-Aid to pay? The last thing you want is your mortgage be late. Don't pay late.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't really want to do that job. That's not the path of my career I want to take. But if you're in this situation, then you have to do what you have to do.
Right.
So the last thing and the most important thing would be to not pay your mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, if there's anything else you'd like to talk about, feel free.
So when it comes to getting ready, the struggles that I see the most is people not having enough closing costs. So when it comes to a loan program, lenders are tasked with the job of financing the purchase.
Okay.
Okay, financing the purchase is you're buying a house is $215,000. Each loan program has their own minimum contribution, so each program has their guidelines. Government lending, FHA, VA, USDA, they have their guidelines. Conventional lending, Fannie, Freddie, they have their guidelines. State programs like Sonny Mae, they have their own guidelines. They have their own requirement of what the minimum client contribution is.
Okay.
However, there are fees associated with setting up a mortgage, which are called closing costs. If you don't have those fees, maybe you have your deposit, you have your 3%, 3.5%, but you don't have those fees. There are grants, yeah, right? There's help in the form of grants that can help you. There are federal grants, there are state grants, municipal grants, and sometimes the lender has help. That is something that you want to be upfront about. I am seeking help, or I need help, or it could be both.
Right.
And we have to make sure we know that because there's some loan programs that don't work well with grants. So we have to make sure we're pairing with the right product. Otherwise, you may not be able to get pre-approved for the loan program that you want.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
Or for multiple units. I'll have to say that. I know a lot of people come to buy, I want to get pre-approved for a duplex, or a
Okay, that's what you
2-unit,
mean.
or a 3-unit. Those guidelines and the requirements for those are a little bit different.
Sure.
Your down payment is going to be slightly higher, and you are going to be required to have reserves.
Okay.
Reserves essentially is the bank or the investor in this case saying you need to have some cushion, right? Whether it be in your pension or your retirement, your 401k, 403b, documenting that you have enough funds. So if down the line something happens and your tenants perhaps can't come up with a rent, right, you have backing. So it's not just enough to come up with closing costs and securing a grant. You do need to have reserves. So in short, it's a little bit like makeup. Maybe you don't need makeup. Maybe you're naturally beautiful, but makeup enhances some people,
Sure,
right?
right.
So it's kind of like that. Credit-wise, make yourself stronger.
Yeah.
I am a strong borrower, and any lender would be so proud to have me as a borrower. Same thing with income. I know that I could be making more money. Maybe people think, well, I'm going to change jobs and I'm going to go from being a driver at the schools to be my independent driver. However, the line of work is the same, but the income earning is different. You want to make sure you have a conversation about what that looks like if you are really intending to make more money.
Gotcha.
Maybe you have to wait. And then lastly, again, the bank accounts. Clean those bank accounts. Make sure you are preparing for this process. Have your savings account ready. I am ready to go. This is what I have. And when we ask you for documentation, please provide it.
Yeah.
We are going to need all W-2s. We are going to need all 1099s for that miscellaneous income. If you have multiple jobs, we are going to ask for the tax returns just to see that it was all reported. We're going to need official documentation from bank statements where it's showing your name, the financial institution, and the account number. Feel free to leverage the housing agencies for free assistance, but get yourself educated, prepared.
Absolutely.
Have a budget. See what that looks like for you. See if you do want to do this, or if you want to do it now, or if you want to wait.
Right.
And if you do, give your preferred lender of choice a call, and they should be assessing that further, your request.
And if somebody did want to get educated and had a question for you, Karina, is there a way they can contact you, or is that something you do? Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Right.
So we're consultants, so we help with that. We help. People sometimes feel that you're gonna call on the phone and I'm gonna get your social and I'm gonna pull your credit.
Yeah.
Sure, that happens. That is a real thing.
Okay.
In the sales world, that does happen. However, you have to be upfront. It goes back to advocating for yourself.
Gotcha.
I am only looking for information, and this is what it looks like. Okay.
Okay. So how does anyone connect with you?
They can go online. They can email. They can call me. I have an app, which is fantastic.
Nice.
But education is key.
Okay.
If you are concerned about a lender and what that looks like and that interaction, go to the housing agency. Find out they're going to go over literally everything I just went over today to get you ready
Gotcha.
for what that looks like. And they're going to reference, what services they have to help you with grants and help you with loan options for you. And then they're going to make referrals for you, which is a known thing. You get referred here, there, and everywhere, but ultimately you choose. Understand that because somebody sent you somewhere doesn't mean you have to get stuck there or you
Yeah.
have to commit there. So that's something that a lot of individuals, just because they don't know, they kind of just go with the flow. And at the very end, I've encountered people who's like, well, I didn't know. Well, part of this process, the first step should be knowing that this is what I have to do and how do I go about doing it.
Gotcha. All right. That is Karina Hernandez. Thank you so much for
You're very
joining us here on
welcome.
the Mambo the Morning Show. You guys, if you're just joining in, we are talking to Karina Hernandez, and this episode will be available on our YouTube page in just a bit. So head on over to YouTube. And not only this one, but we have other episodes with our money mentors on our YouTube page as well. So give those a view, like and share them as well. Karina, once again, thank you for joining
Thank
me.
you.
We will talk to you soon. When it comes to money, this is the show that matters. The Money Matters Mentors right here on El Poder Latino. We'll be right back after this break.